Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Trading Brains. I'm your host, Evan Greif, here with my co-host, Angelo Messina over here. Yeah, and we're really excited to do another episode on personal finance. And this time I've come back with a lot more research, I think, than the last time we did personal finance. This one is going to be more focused on traditional and online banking. So basically, what banking situation is right for you. You know, like if you want to go with traditional banks, there are reasons to do that. If you want to go with online banking, there are lots of good pros to that as well. And before we get started, I just want to let you all know that we always have episodes coming out every Friday at 1 p.m. And you can reach out to us at tradingbrainspodcast@gmail.com if you ever have any content suggestions or you like what you hear, or if you don't like what you hear, let us know. Um, so to get into it, um, you know, Angela, what are some like big name banks that anybody could pop off the top of their head?
So when I think about like traditional banking, like Capital One, Chase, Wells Fargo, Credit Union, any credit unions as well.
Mm-hmm.
First Republic is coming,
Bank of America,
Bank in America,
yeah,
um,
Citibank,
Citibank,
yeah,
and there's more in there. TD Bank.
yeah, TD Bank for sure. So,
Uh,
pretty much everybody knows these banks. They're all big. They have branches all over the country. Um, and there are a bunch of online banks, like online only, meaning they don't really have any branch locations. If they do, there's only one. And most of the time, if you need support, you just kind of use their app or email or phone. And some of these banks are banks like Betterment, Chime, um, Fidelity Smart Cash, Ally Bank, and SmartyPig. SmartyPig is pretty interesting, and I'm going to cover that later. Aspiration and Aslo. So, like most people probably haven't heard these banks' names. If anything, out of all of them, maybe Betterment. But for the most part, I don't know. Have you heard of any of these banks?
I have heard about Ally. I heard Borrow as well. Another one I have heard about. Betterment as another one I have heard.
Yeah.
Besides Ally, I have heard most about Ally. The other one,
Okay.
not so much.
Yeah, for listeners, we actually talked about Ally in the other personal finance episode we did about kind of like um,
The first couple of
monitoring your budgets. Huh?
our first couple episodes we
Yeah,
talked
yeah, yeah.
about.
Absolutely. I think that was like episode number 7. But
Mm.
anyway, um, so why does this even matter, right? Why are you even listening to us talk about personal finance, even though we're not professional personal finance people? Well, like I was saying, traditional banks and online banks have different pros and cons for different situations. So generally, if you want a higher interest rate on your savings account, you're going to want to go with an online bank because they'll give you, 1.5 to 2%
Mm-hmm.
interest rate, whereas a traditional bank will give you like 0.01%, right? So it's like almost nothing. But if you need to deposit checks or you have like bill pay or something that requires paper statements or anything to do with paper, really, you want to go with traditional. So um, we're going to talk about what situations you need traditional, what situations you need online, and why you may even want both, which I think is probably the best option, and which banks we think are doing really well right now. So when you talk about banking, right, what's the most like anger-inducing word? Angela, what do you think it is?
Full banking, I think, is more convenient. Like for traditional, I like a lot of people think like for traditional banking, it's like the convenience. Instead of doing everything online, you actually go in. It's if you need to go to ATM, they have the ATM as well as you go to the bank teller and deposit. And you could do everything as well as traditional online. You could have everything auto pay for your bills as well as checking and savings. Really important to have for both of them, and kind of like correspond with transferring money from checking to savings and vice versa.
Yeah, yeah. I think that too. It's very easy to go to a traditional local bank. The branch is there. Sometimes you can walk to it, right? There's easy access to the ATMs. Um, but like I was saying, when you talk about banking, right, the most annoying thing to hear is fees, right?
Mm.
You hear the word fees. I just my hair stands on end, you know. And depending on your bank, right, you might have monthly maintenance fees. So like if you have to maintain a minimum deposit or you have to have a direct deposit from your paycheck or something like that. Overdraft fees are the worst. Um, they're like usually the most expensive. You can have ATM withdrawal fees if you're like not in network. You know, you go to
Mhm.
like an ATM that's not related to your bank. Um, Wire transfer fees, paper statement fees, card replacement, inactivity fees. The list goes on. There's just all these fees that you could be slapped with if you don't read the fine print, right? So
Mhm.
a monthly maintenance fee, it's something you get charged if your bank account falls below zero or below a certain amount, right? And it can be like up to $25, which is terrible, right? That's a lot, I would say.
So if people are already in the hole or being in the red, banks will try to keep you there even longer unless you put in more money.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's probably more the overdraft fee, but the monthly
Yeah.
maintenance fee is like, let's say a bank account wants you to have $5,000 minimum,
Mhm.
um, so that like they won't charge you for having the account. And I think Chase is actually like that, where you need like $5,000 minimum, or like if you have direct deposit from your paycheck or whatever, they'll waive it. But um, it's kind of ridiculous, right? I mean, you're putting your money into this bank, and they're charging you money, even though they're making so much money off lending your hard-earned dollars to other people and earning interest on that.
Mhm.
But again, that's how these traditional banks make their money, right? They slap you with these fees when they can. So overdraft fees, these are the worst, right? If
Mhm.
you make a purchase or you try to withdraw from an ATM, or actually ATM, I think you can't do it. But if you make a purchase on a debit card or uh,
Mhm.
a check gets bounced, then you have a negative balance, and they will try to charge you like on average it's $33 or so.
33, 35, depending
Yeah,
on what bank.
yeah. And like from personal experience, I've actually gone to the bank and been like, "Hey, like this is kind of bullshit, can you waive this?" And yeah, they got rid of it, but you have to actually go and argue with them to remove the fee. So there's that. And then ATM withdrawal fee, I mean it's pretty simple. If you go travel abroad and you withdraw from an ATM abroad, the operator of that ATM could charge you and your own bank could charge you. So that could be up to like $6, right?
Mhm. Wow.
Um, yeah, yeah. Wire transfer fees. I mean, they're not. You could get wire transfer fees, maybe up to like $20, but we all now use, I think, PayPal or Venmo or stuff like that to move money around, so it's not really a problem. Um, so yeah, I wanna go into the pros of actually having the traditional bank specifically, and it's pretty much what you said, right? Ready to access the ATM whenever
Mhm.
you want. It's on the corner, like it's always been there. You can go in, say hello. You can talk to people. If you want to get a checkbook, you can pretty much get it for free. You don't have to pay to get the checks.
Okay.
You can have bill pay. So if you want to pay for stuff like your cell phone, your utilities, credit cards, mortgage payments, all that stuff, you don't have to go to each of those places and pay individually. You can just set it up so that your bank account pays uh, to those accounts automatically. Um, I mean, that's pretty much it. If you want to have like a more personable relationship with your bankers, instead of like going through phone
Well,
or email or whatever, you like
I
know
feel like it's
somebody at
going
the
to
bank
be
and
well, if you know someone at the bank, let's just say you know a coworker that used to be your coworker or a friend that now works at a bank, I totally understand. But I think like when you're trying to be more friendly, I think that's come more in investment, kind of like you want to get
yeah,
into stocks, bonds, retirement funds, as well as mortgage.
yeah, yeah.
And I feel like traditional banks are there now, but they're also like there's Rocket Mortgage as well to help out online, and you could call a specialist to help you out with
hmm
everything.
Yeah, well, I mean, if we're just talking about checkings and savings, that's already like very transactional. It's not like investment based. So like you said, like if it's investing, of course, like some people
Mhm.
really want to have that one-on-one with somebody who's like managing their portfolio or something like that. Um, and then those are the pros of traditional banking, but the cons are the fees, right? All these fees that I listed up above, like that's pretty bad, I think, if you get hit with them, right? There's ways to avoid them, but that can also be kind of annoying to do.
Yeah.
Um,
If you have to go to the bank to kind of wipe them out, then that becomes a hassle because like, oh, now I had to go to the bank to fight for these just for to save maybe
yeah,
total $70 or $35,
yeah.
$30.
And
At that
granted, that may be all you have, right? Like, you may just be starting out as somebody
point,
who's working, or uh, you're just in a bad spot and you're not making enough money to make ends meet. So, it's really hard when you get hit with a fee like $35 for an overdraft on like $2 or something like that, right?
yeah.
Yeah. Um, so then, these are the pros of online banking, where a lot of online banks, they don't have maintenance fees. Some of them don't even have international transaction fees, right? I mean, the ATM there might charge you, but they don't have their own fee on that. Uh, some of them will actually automate moving money from your savings account to your checking account if you have an overdraft, right? And they're usually easy to sign up. It doesn't take very long, maybe 5-10 minutes. Um, and the real selling point, I think, is like the high interest rate on the savings. Can go up to 2%. I think right about now, like the highest is probably 1.75,
Okay.
which is like not bad if you're trying to beat inflation, but you still want access to your money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now
And then
with the
what's up?
online, like how much access do you have to that money if it's online? Like is there besides like having a card, like do they provide you like with a debit card or a credit card and like you
Yeah.
use
So
that
I
money?
mean, I think it's depending on the bank, but depending on the online bank, like they could give you a debit card that is attached also to their like bank account, the
Mhm.
bank account that they have for you. So you can make purchases with that card once it's authorized, and you can also do like ATM deposits with that card. You can do ATM withdrawals as well. Basically, like the online banks have like partner networks, right? So if you go to a ATM at like a convenience store, uh, maybe a grocery store or a
Mhm.
pharmacy, they probably will have someone in their network. And if they're online banks, they have apps that you can use, and the apps actually tell you, like they give you ATM locators to say like, hey, this is ATM is in network, so you won't get charged. Yeah.
I know there's one bank, Charles Schwab, that any any fee that you get from an ATM, they'll reimburse you.
Yeah, that's a great account, actually.
Mhm.
I know about that one. Fidelity also does that too, actually.
Yeah.
My brother has Charles Schwab, and I think he uses that account as well, which is really cool because you get hit with like a $6, even a $20, which is unimaginable. But like if you're abroad or whatever, they'll
Mhm.
just reimburse you for that,
Yeah.
right? So yeah,
That's
those
that's really
those are really
cool.
nice accounts. Yeah. Do you have one of your own?
Um, yeah, I used to have I actually used to have one, but I'm actually thinking about getting reopening an account again with them.
Yeah, yeah, you should. I think. Well, I'm personally probably gonna open a Fidelity account.
Okay.
Um, but Charles Schwab is also really good. I've been reading a book written by him about personal finance and or stocks, and bonds and how to invest for the future. But yeah, that's. I think they have great accounts, and they're one of their. I want to say credit cards. One of the Charles
Okay.
Schwab credit cards has like a really good rewards program, so that's definitely worth looking into.
Hmm.
Um, And then, of course, if there's pros, there's obviously cons to online banking. So, like I was mentioning earlier, it costs money to get paper checks, right? So you have to pay to get like a checkbook or like a bunch of paper checks on sheets. Although some of these online banks can actually like send the check for you. Um, you just like tell them like, hey, I need to pay such and such person, blah 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 blah, and they'll send the check for you. You don't even have to deal with the paper check itself. Some of them are hard to deposit cash, right? Because it's like a check. Okay, you can take a picture of it, right? But you can't take like a picture of a dollar bill and be like, okay, it's in my account now. So I think you'd have to go to like an in-network ATM to make that deposit.
Okay.
Yeah. And again, you can't really get a personable experience out of it customer service is limited since they don't have branches. It's all like email or phone or even in the app. I think in the app chat is really good though because it's very easy. You know, you can just ask a question like, "Hey, I have a problem with this part of my account," or "I don't understand how to do this." Blah 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 blah. And, you know, XYZ. They tell you. Um, so now that we know like the pros and cons of traditional and online banking, I kind of want to talk about like certain online banks themselves and like what is good about them. One that I think is interesting, and I may actually open up an account for, is Chime Bank. Um, their like Visa debit card has a rewards program. So basically, like the when you open their Chime Bank app, you can see basically like what kind of rewards you can get for a limited amount of time. So let's say like 24 or 48 hours, it says groceries. So if you use that debit card at one of the uh, grocery stores or chains that are inside their rewards program, um, you can get like 10% uh, off
Cash
of like
back.
how much. Yeah. So like you basically when you spend at that grocery store and then you have it round up to the nearest dollar, right?
Okay.
That what you save, 10% of that you'll get cash back. So let's say you spent a certain amount and the amount that rounded up was $8 at the end of the month, right? Uh, you get 10% of that $8 back.
Okay. Not bad.
Yeah, I mean I think it's pretty good and it's free money, right? So
Yeah. It just
this
encourages
is
you to spend money to get a little discounted back.
yeah, exactly. So like
Mm.
if your roundups were $8, you get 80 cents,
Yeah.
which is I mean it's almost $1. It's not bad, and it's free money, right? Again,
Yeah.
and they'll do that up to $500 a year.
Okay.
Yeah. Um, I think that's like one of the best features about Chime Banks. It's Chime Bank itself.
You just have to be available or to have the cash to spend at that time of whatever deal is going on during that 2 days or three
Yeah, for
days.
sure.
Or,
It's debit. Debit. It's not credit, so you have to have the cash already. Yeah. I think to go back on like the ATM withdrawal fees, uh, if you just if you have the money in your account, right, then you can go to a pharmacy or supermarket or whatever and just say like, hey, I want cash back, and then just
Mhm.
pay, you know, extra and get cash from there. That's just like one way to avoid ATM fees, but
Yeah.
that doesn't have anything to do with like banking. You can do that anywhere.
Yeah.
Um, but unfortunately, one of the cons of Chime is that you can't actually deposit checks like online, so you can't like take a picture of it or whatever. You have
Yeah.
to use like a separate third-party service,
Okay.
and there's transaction limits. So $10,000 per month, you can't really go over that. You can't like moving money into the account or moving money out. So that can be limiting, but I typically don't move more than 10,000 a month anyway, right?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
if
Um,
I feel like if you're moving that much money like that, then you sure opening up a bank in Switzerland or Monaco or Maltese or anything in those locations, so
yeah,
you
if you
don't
can.
pay certain fees, other international fees, I guess, or taxes.
Yeah, yeah. Well, for sure, for business accounts, that's pretty much like what people do. I
Mhm.
don't know if you can open personal accounts in like Switzerland or foreign nations or anything like that.
Yeah,
I mean, if you move there, maybe, but
yeah.
yeah,
Or you have like a passport, like a dual citizen passport. Then yeah.
yeah. Well, I mean, I have bank accounts here, even though I'm only here on a visa. So, but like they say, once your visa runs out, if you don't renew it and you go back, they want you to close out all your accounts. So,
Hmm.
yeah.
Something I
Which
know.
yeah, I'm hoping, I don't have to do that, but we'll see. uh, so the next one I want to talk about is Betterment, and they're actually really, really cool because it's like an all-in-one package. You have checking account, you have savings account, and you have an investment account. So it's a robo advisor with like it. I don't know if you know what like robo advisors are, but they pretty much like automate all of your investment portfolio into different funds like stocks and bonds and ETFs. Um, and what's really cool about Betterment on the checking and savings account side, right, is that there's no account minimum. So, you don't
You
have
can
to
have a
deal
penny.
with. Yeah, you can have a penny, right? And it wouldn't be a problem. Um, and they have a pretty high interest rate, surprisingly. It's like 1.37%,
Okay.
right, on savings accounts. So
Oh
you'll
wow.
make, yeah, yeah. And they're FDIC insured, so they're able to get more than the usual $250,000 that you have from even traditional banks. Say, like I know when I have at my Bethpage account, they say like, oh, you're FDIC insured, so up your balance up to $250,000 is completely insured. But Betterment has up to 1 million, which is crazy. It's not normal. Um, like I said, no account minimum, no fees on balances, and unlimited withdrawals. A lot of like savings accounts on online banks, they'll give you like a certain amount of free withdrawals, and then you have to pay if you go over that amount for like the month.
Okay.
Um, yeah, everyday checking, which is cool. You get worldwide ATM fee reimbursement, so it's like that Charles Schwab account you were saying, or the Fidelity
Hmm.
account. Um, no overdraft fees. Uh, I think that's on the stipulation that you have like savings that could be moved over to
Yeah.
your checking account. Yeah. Um, and there's just a lot of I don't know ways that Betterment automates your investment style. So if you have like extra cash laying around in your checking account, month by month, it will analyze your cost patterns and say like, oh, you spent like this much on utilities and this much on whatever, and like basically it'll average out how much you spend a month, and then it'll look at the cash you have available in your checking account and say, hey, you have extra, blah 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 amount of extra cash. Why don't you invest this in your savings account or invest it in a brokerage account, right?
Hmm.
Into stocks and
Like a
bonds,
money
whatever, because
market.
it's money that's not moving, right? So,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, and that's what's really cool about the Betterment like experience is that like they just take out all of the guesswork. They make sure you know what's going on, and if you don't want to pay attention to it, you can just set it and forget it. They'll invest your money for you.
Hmm. Okay.
Basically, they just ask you, what are your goals, right? So retirement, vacation, education for kids, or whatever you want.
And
Um,
they pretty much like help you every step of the way. Like it's not like a
oh
real
yeah,
like it's like a robot. You're saying like they will like try to analyze the best way to go at it, and you kind of like interact by
exactly.
answering their questions. Like
Yeah,
the
so
robot will
they'll
ask you a
ask you,
question, and
they'll
they'll
ask
give
you
A, B, C.
exactly. Yeah, they'll ask you, how old are you? What's your risk tolerance? How soon do you want a certain amount of money, right? And then they'll be like, okay, boom, 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 and they come up with like this pie chart and have this much in stocks, this much in bonds, this much in whatever. They all take care of it. If you're not interested in the personal finance stuff, they'll take care of it for you, and you'll be safe in your investments.
Hmm. They try to
So
really
it's really
like
nice.
dumb it down, make it simple for the person who doesn't know that much about finance or stocks or
Yeah. And I mean,
investment.
it's not even saying like, oh, well, you're dumb, so you can't handle it on your own. Just let Betterment do it. It's like
No, they
time.
teach you.
It's yeah, that they teach you and time, right? It's like they're the experts. They are the people who are spending their time becoming experts in this field. So why should you spend all this excess amount of time where you could be, I don't know, doing something you're really passionate about, or your job, or like you don't have time to do all this research, and they do it for you. So why not take advantage of that, right? They charge like an annual fee. It's like 0.25%. So what that is like, let's say you have $100,000 in your account. That would amount to maybe $12 a month,
Okay.
right?
Is it per month or per year?
No, per month.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like 12 a month. So I mean that would be $120
Yeah.
for the year. Yeah. But
Some
again,
people
like
don't.
they're investing your money and it's growing. So right, like you're
They
probably
they had to
grow
get
more than
paid
120.
somehow.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, they have to get paid somehow. So and that's how it works. And they're pretty low cost for a robo advisor, especially compared to other ones. And this last one, I'm actually really interested in it, even though I haven't heard much about it. I'll have to look into it more to make sure it's like completely secure. So, kind of a disclaimer here. They are FDIC insured, so that's really good. Your money's insured up to $250,000. But again, this is a bank I've never heard about, and I don't know. So SmartyPig, it's an online piggy bank, right?
Okay.
For people who are saving for specific goals, trying to get a house or vacation, whatever it is. Um, and their savings rate is actually 1.75%,
Okay.
which for savings accounts is like extremely
That's
high.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Um, and yeah, I'm interested in opening an account with them. Maybe, not sure, because I want to
Have
have
savings
I want to
account.
have a Chime or a Betterment account. Honestly, like personally, those are the two accounts that I'm actually interested in. And if I get a Betterment account, I'll get 1.37, which is like not too different from 1.75.
Yeah.
And the Betterment account has so many more features and great things to talk about. And in fact, if we could do an episode on Betterment, I would love to do that. Just talk about like the features that they have and then how they compare with other robo advisors or even just regular checking and savings accounts. Um, so yeah, guys, thanks for listening. That's basically the difference between traditional online banking. If you need paper checks or paper statements or I don't know, like you have to just be able to walk over to your bank
Mm.
at the local branch and you want to say hi to somebody, then go with the
Traditional
traditional
bank.
bank. Yeah.
But
If you're looking for less fees, right? And less hassle, I would say, then go with an online bank because you also have higher interest rates.
okay.
What do you think, Angela? Are you interested in any of these online banks?
Well, Betterment, because I know you guys, I know you have been talking so much about it. I heard about Ally was actually really good as well. Smarty Pig is kind of up there with the whole high interest rate for the saving account. Because I was actually thinking about having a saving account that just like kind of like sit like kind of rainy day fun.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
that
and
just like
that's a perfect account for that, I think.
um just now I just want to know basically the next thing is about more in the fact of like how accessible to is that money is like how can you take it out without being drafted with fees or can it be transferred to your traditional bank?
Right,
Is,
right, right.
is there
Yeah,
like a
so
easy safe way?
I think bank transfers, no matter what, may actually end up costing you,
Okay.
unless you use like PayPal, and if you use PayPal, then PayPal will charge you their own fee, which is usually less than a traditional bank transfer fee.
Of
So
course.
that's no problem. Yeah. Um, with most of the online banks, I don't think you'll have a problem, except for the transaction limit on Chime's bank, right, with the $10,000.
Mm-hmm.
But how often are you gonna really hit that? And
Of course.
even if it's a month, well, that means like one month you transfer 10,000, and then the next month you transfer another 10,000, right? Um, so yeah, I don't think most of them have like no fees for that kind of thing.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
like accessibility to your money, savings accounts, like always, they're not like investments where like you can't pull your money out if you need
Mm,
it now, right? They're
of
absolutely you can take that money out. Some of them, uh, I think Aspiration Bank, it's another one. They give you five free ATM withdrawals, and then after that, for the month, I mean, right? Not,
course.
not for your entire like account history.
Of course.
Um, yeah, yeah, five free for the month, and then after that, they'll start charging you. I don't know how much they'll start charging you, but I doubt it's that much. And um, if you're smart about it, like you don't just take like 20, $40 here and there. Instead, you kind of ration it out, and you make sure you are withdrawing how much you need
Mm-hmm.
for the month. I don't think you need to go over five ATM withdrawals.
Okay. Well, that's pretty cool. I do like that idea, but it's
Yeah.
just I'm just trying to figure out a way to see if which online have one online, one traditional, and kind of go back and forth on that and see how that
Yeah.
will.
Yeah. So if you have like, mortgage stuff, car loans, maybe if you like own a business, right? You're probably going to want to go to a traditional bank because they will have the resources to help you with that more
Yeah.
so than online banking. Online banking, again, if you want the high interest rate and just less
If you just
ATM,
want to save
like
your
fees.
money
Yeah.
for like a rainy day.
Yeah. Yeah, rainy
Uh,
day fund, like an emergency fund, SmartyPig or Betterment, they have
yeah.
good interest rates for sure.
Okay.
So definitely would do that.
Okay. Sounds like fun.
Yeah.
Thank you, Evan, for sharing us about traditional banking and online banking, the difference between the two and the pros and cons. That kind of wraps it up for this week episode on
Yeah, that's
personal
it.
finance. Reach us out. Hit us with anything on our Facebook page, Training Brain, our email, trainingbrainpodcast@gmail.com, with any comment, concern, any new episodes that you guys want us to talk about. We're here to try to actually just pick each other's brains and try to understand others' interests and as well as our community. Just let us know at any time. Like, subscribe us.
Yes.
Listen to us on Anchor, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, Stitcher, and etc. Because we have other
Yeah.
ones.
I
Um,
mean, we'll put all this stuff in the show notes,
the
right?
show notes, description, and all that stuff. But
Yeah, yeah. And I'll also like not only our podcast links, but also include like URLs to the banks that we talked about today. Uh,
oh,
some of these online banks, and you can check them out for yourself if you're interested. Yeah.
uh, thank you for listening to this week's episode. Stay tuned for next week. We'll see you
Yes.
soon.
All right. See you soon, everybody.